This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
I'll tell you, I'm not going to agree with you that Lamar Jackson, I would put Daniel Jones above him. I would agree with you on not giving the contract and that the Ravens are right now, as I said, FUCK, just ED, just like the rest of that quarterback market.
Nick Morgasen.
Testing does not prove how smart you are as a person. Sorry, it does not. I was a horrible test taker in school. Somehow I still managed to graduate college with honors and a 3.67 GPA. Okay? So I don't want to hear testing should have pushed someone all the way down in the draft.
Empty the Bench starts now.
Kyle, is your microphone on?
Whoops. Kyle's going to be playing the role of mime on this. He'll be playing.
Now, yes. Okay.
Damn it, I wasn't ready for it. Oh, wait, now I am.
Oh, shut up. Two can play that game.
Pat the sponge. Pat the sponge. Testing.
Oh, my God. What an amazing NFL draft we had. Welcome to episode 182 of Empty the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network. Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen. A lot to get into this week. We'll get to that in a second. Follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us on the Empty the Bench podcast network at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. YouTube.com/ETB Network to find us on the video version of these podcasts. Also, find us on your favorite audio platform, Acast, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher, Google Podcast. Basically anything that has an audio platform, you can find it. Also, etbpodcast.com, which we've actually gotten a lot of blog content lately.
Thanks, Hank.
Yeah, really. So we have a lot.
Shout out to
Yeah, we have a lot to get into this week. So the NFL draft happened. That's why we didn't do an official show last week. You saw us for, I want to say, close to 5 hours last week.
Yeah, so you had more than enough of us last week. That was the party, and it was a very fun party. And Nick, I think this week is the hangover.
Yeah, I mean, a lot happened in the NFL draft. By the way, the Texans are hypocrites. We'll get to that in a little bit. We saw, I don't know if you want to call it history, because I found out afterwards that it happened a long time ago. The Texans that got the second and the third overall pick.
Yep.
So that was kind of interesting watching that trade break. If you wanted a real live reaction of when trades went down during the NFL draft, we did the whole first round, which, by the way, no one thought 32 picks were going to take over 4 hours.
The NFL always seems to make, to have a way to have that happen.
Yeah, so we'll break down the NFL draft. There were some interesting trades that happened during the NFL draft. Also, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. First rounds are in the book. Second rounds are already in progress for both. Some interesting stories, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Interesting stories in the NHL sphere.
We always have like one, maybe one story too. We actually have quite a few stories coming from the NHL this week.
Dare I say it, the NHL might dominate this episode? I never thought I'd say those words.
Johnny and Hank are going to be very happy to hear that.
Yeah, really. Also, MLB.TV is now under Censorgate.
Censorgate.
I mean, we've come to the point now where if you put a gate next to everything, it's a controversy. Thanks to Deflategate.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I censored?
Yes. Also, other baseball news, Bryce Harper cleared to return just 5 months after Tommy John surgery. No one thought that.
That's
no
insane.
one.
He is a machine.
Quite literally. Thanks, Albert Pujols. If you didn't see the ESPN commercial, then you're not going to understand what I'm saying.
Back in the day, that was a great one.
Also, we'll finish the episode off with accusations in the media. My favorite type of story.
Of course.
So we'll get into all that, and I'll tell you some stories about ESPN as well that's been going on behind the scenes. All right, let's go. 2023 NFL Draft. Obviously, if you were with us for the 5 hours during the NFL Draft, we broke down round one because no one really cares after round one. Maybe
we had a
maybe
couple of interesting picks in rounds 2 and 3 the next night.
Will Levis, who dropped to the second round, which was a shocker to everybody. But then we found out he had an injury.
He had an injury, and there was just a certain point, Nick, and you kind of pointed out during the show that, after like pick 20 or something, there was just no teams who really needed a quarterback.
Yeah, that was interesting. And also, there was a lot of swapping going on in the first round, like only for like one pick up. Was it the Giants who went from 25 to 24 and they gave up a king's ransom for it?
I wouldn't say a king's ransom, but it was like 3 picks just to move up one slot, which I was a little concerned about, especially when they drafted a defenseman rather than a wide receiver. Now, granted, the defenseman that the Giants drafted, who was shoot, I already forgot his name.
What, the Giants pick?
Baker or something?
Here, I'm looking it up. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was an interesting first round. Otherwise, Deontay Baker. No, Deontay Banks. No, it's Deontay Banks,
not Baker.
Yeah, that's it.
Banks.
So,
but then in the third round, this is what I referred to about the second. I'm surprised that Hyatt from Tennessee was still available during the third round, and the Giants managed to do another trade up in the third round to get him. Now, as far as I can tell from my own analysis and the other people, now he seems to be another John Ross kind of figure, where with his kind of body and speed. Now, obviously, John Ross, who the Giants got after a stint with the Bengals, didn't work out. But maybe there's a chance that they can form, Jalen Hyatt into their own image. So I'm kind of happy about that. And Banks, I think, is a needed corner. I'm just going to be concerned about, once again, the offensive line. And if Daniel Jones, if what he did last season, he can repeat this season.
I mean, the Giants needed offensive line help in the worst way. And however they can get it, they'll get it. I mean, again, the team I despise, which I don't root for anymore, I was not happy with that pick regardless. They just totally...
Kyle completely booed. Like, I thought he was joking because he has said he always boos the Jets picks. And then he's booed, and I was like laughing because, of course. But then it took me a minute to realize, oh no, he's serious. He hates this pick.
It was a bad pick. I mean, I don't know
once again, it's funny, Nick, that it's like the Jets have taken over the body of the Green Bay Packers once they get Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you've got Nathaniel Hackett, Alan Lazard. Hours before we started recording,
Randall Cobb.
They officially signed Randall Cobb. They are turning into the Packers.
And literally. You know what? And you know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do? He's going to throw more to him than to, oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? Garrett Wilson, thank you, who is the offensive rookie of the year. I mean, like...
And you know what Rodgers is going to say to you, Nick? You know what he's going to say?
R-E-L-A-X.
I know what I'm doing, Nick. He's going to say.
I'm not going to do it yet because I don't have the muster to do it yet. But the thing is, I don't get these moves. I understand Woody Johnson's an old hag and he wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's the only reason why we're making these dumb moves. And also, do I really want to go down the road? Basically, they're sucking off Aaron Rodgers to give him what he wants. And you know what? People are going to be mean and harsh and say whatever. Oh, you were a Jet fan. You're being salty. No, I knew this was a bad move. Aaron Rodgers was a bad move. If you're going to spend the picks, which, by the way, is going to be 2 first-round picks because 65% of plays in 2023. You're telling me Aaron Rodgers is not going to play 65% of plays in 2023?
You better pray then he gets injured at that point, because it's definitely going to happen.
Excuse me. I mean, I never pray for injuries for anybody because that's awful.
But that wasn't my point. My point
I know.
is, like you said, it's 65% of plays. Unless he gets injured, that's happening.
Now, obviously, he has been hurt, so he has a track record of being hurt. But I was talking to Johnny Montalbano from Game On. We were talking about the scheduling release, which comes out, I think, May 11th this year.
Yeah, 2 weeks from actually next week, 1 week from today.
And there's a rumor going around. You're going to find this insane.
Oh, I think I know the one that you're talking about.
I'm talking about from Baldinger from the NFL Network.
Monday Night Football opener, week 1, Giants Jets. I can see that happening.
And by the way, Johnny and I have been a little behind the curtain here, but Johnny and I were already we're thinking about maybe doing Jets Giants live stream if that's week 1.
Oh, we would have to. We would
have to because that only happens once every 4 years.
Yeah. And on Monday Night Football in the opening week.
And by the way, easiest platform to get up on the computer, at least once that I figured out. But excuse me. But if that happens, and then they're talking about 4 primetime games for the Jets on top of that Monday Night Football.
It's New York and one of the most I don't know if popular is the right word, but most important figures in the NFL right now.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers is a fraud. And by the way, the reason I call him a fraud, he was at Madison Square Garden in a Rangers jersey, and they're showing him on the Jumbotron, and Madison Square
erupts.
And I'm just like, why are we cheering this guy? He's a fraud.
Because Aaron Rodgers gonna lead the Jets to the Super Bowl.
All right, thanks, Jerry Jones. But I just
Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers is not going to do anything for you.
By the way, their draft picks were kind of atrocious too, but that's a whole. Actually, their one pick, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the executive's sons, wasn't it? In the draft room, I thought it was because I remember them showing the war room for the Cowboys, and the executive almost broke down in emotional tears when it happened.
Really?
But
one of them was okay, it wasn't many. Oh, Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, that's it. It was from the Cowboys.
The son of Cowboys assistant director of college scouting.
There we go. Which is kind of a good story if you think about it. But
honestly, yeah. Well, I mean, Jerry can always pull off a good move once in a while. The keyword being once in a while.
But the draft was good for the most part. I kind of liked all the trades. That was kind of fun. I mean, not for you because you had to keep getting all that up on social media. But
yeah. I think the Texans getting the 2nd and 3rd overall pick was just absolutely nuts. And actually, a report came out today. The Titans had expressed interest in doing that trade up for the third pick, and they were actually looking at CJ Stroud. But then once the Texans took Stroud with the 2nd overall pick, the Titans said, Shark Tank style, I'm out.
Yeah, really. I mean, no one expected the Texans to make a freak move like that to get the 3rd overall pick after having the 2nd. And Johnny,
I'm so sorry. Yeah. I was saying I have to say CJ Stroud and Will Anderson. That's 2 huge pickups for the Texans. Obviously, not going to be a 1-season turnaround, but that you've already started on a nice, decent, starting base for your core, for a young core.
Yeah, and I hopefully they turn around football there. I kind of feel bad for Lovie Smith the way that situation ended in Houston. Getting past the whole Deshaun Watson nonsense and dealing with all that, and hopefully Stroud with his 18 on the S2 test can somehow be functional, because apparently the Texans told everybody he got an 18 on the S2 test. We can't pick him.
Oh, you know what that was?
What?
Smoke screen.
You know what though? And I said it in the intro, and there was a reason I purposely put that in the intro, because this S2 test doesn't mean anything. Nothing. It's like the stupid test that they make you take in the school to figure out the career you want to be in.
The aptitude test?
Whatever, the aptitude test or the Wonderlic test, whatever these stupid tests are. Like, yeah, an aptitude test is going to determine what my career is when I haven't gone to college yet.
And CJ Stroud got an F. Crocker would have been going nuts on him. Cosmo would have, all the Fs would have come down from the ceiling, and you'd hear Cosmo say,
failure.
I was going to do that. You beat me to it. But the test means nothing. He still got picked 2nd overall. So now the Texans look stupid and hypocritical for saying it.
Honestly, I thought, I said there was a real possibility that within, the first few picks of the NFL draft, we could have had 4 quarterbacks. Well, we had 3, Bryce, Stroud, and then Anthony Richardson got picked up by the Colts, which, I mean, finally, after years of the veteran quarterback carousel, you finally got a quarterback. Congratulations. About time, Colts.
And you know what's funny also, like the NFL draft, which I think was on ESPN, ABC, and NFL Network.
Yeah.
they kept showing Will Levis. And did you notice each time there was a different woman sitting next to him each time?
Oh, well, it was not a different woman.
There was each time, if you watched the video, there was a different woman sitting next to him. But my point is, he kept looking down at his phone. He kept looking at different things. He's like, why have I not been picked yet? I mean, how much money do you think he was essentially costed by whatever the situation was?
Quite a few million, probably.
Because everyone was saying, that, oh, he's going to be the first quarterback off the board. Well, that didn't happen.
I mean, I thought Joey Porter Jr. was going to go in the first round, but he goes first pick, second round. The Steelers, I can't believe that the Steelers selected 14 Broderick Jones, and then they still managed to get Joey Porter Jr., which, by the way, did you see the clip of him and his father?
Yeah, because he played for Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Right. No, but Porter Jr. is looking a little down, has tears in his eyes, and Porter Sr. is telling him, okay, now use this as motivation to basically go fuck them up and prove them something. Like, that's actually fucking great.
I mean, Pittsburgh's going to be good now that they got their quarterback situated. They're making maybe they'll make some leeway now that Ben Roethlisberger's out of the picture. But no, the first round was great. Like I said, the only surprise really was Will Levis falling off the first round board.
I will say I am actually a little surprised that the Falcons picked up Bijan because they already had Tyler Legier, who didn't he get 1,000 yards rushing last season?
Yes. Yep.
I mean, I get the 1-2 punch. I mean, it's a sick 1-2 punch, but 1,000-yard season, you're really gonna just bump a Legier down.
I mean, we also saw you have it up here. We had another interesting trade that happened in the running back side of things.
Yeah, so this happened during day 2, I believe. This was on the Friday of the draft. DeAndre Swift. So, to give a little context, with the 12th overall pick in the draft, the Lions selected Jahmyr Gibbs, which was a little bit of a surprise to everybody.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Alabama running back, yeah, but they already had DeAndre Swift. But DeAndre Swift, turns out the next day, shipped over to the Eagles for a 7th round pick and a 2025 4th. And, well, we sat here, Nick, and we said that's probably going to be Derrick Henry. Well, it wasn't Derrick Henry, but the Eagles still got a star running back. And this team just continues. It is unbelievable how like I say this as a Giants fan, but in a little bit of a sickening way, but still, it's unbelievable what Howie does for that team.
Well, yeah, and I think I said it with Johnny when we were doing one of the shows. I don't remember what we were doing.
Probably Game On.
Probably Game
On.
ETV.
No, it was ETV. It was the week I was out.
Yeah. I said Howie Roseman deserves like all the credit in the world. Like the Jalen Hurts contract. The stat that I looked up, I guess you can call it my own fun fact at this point, but 4 out of the 5 years, his cap number is not in the top 10. Not in the top 10 paid contracts. Is that crazy?
It is. It absolutely is. And it just, their team managed to get better. And it's like, can they get back to the Super Bowl this year? I think there's going to be a lot of pressure now on Jalen Hurts to repeat the kind of performance he had last season. But, I mean, you look at that team around him. A.J. Brown's obviously still there. Now you add DeAndre Swift into the mix. I know Swift has some injury history, but, when Swift is on the field, he can deliver. So, I know Miles Sanders, of course, isn't there, but you still got Swift. You still got Boston Scott. I think Philadelphia.
They got serviceable. They're servable. The running back position.
I wasn't just going running back, but I would say they're going to be a key team to watch this season.
The one thing I wanted to point out about the Lions also, which most people, if they didn't see the headlines with the Lions, they obviously had the gambling situation that went down.
That too, yeah.
And basically, I know one player was suspended 6 games. Another one was suspended for the year.
I know Jameson Williams was there. Who's going to be
their former first round overall,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think he was entering year 2 of the NFL. Well, now he's going to miss the first 6 games of the season.
I mean, how stupid can you be? Now, you know the rules going in. Hey, no NFL betting in the training camps or the arenas or the team bus or the team plane.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong. They can't bet, period? Like, they can't bet in an NFL facility?
So the way it works is, and this is going to sound stupid, and I don't understand it. So you can gamble on anything So college, NBA, MLB, you just can't do it in an NFL facility or an NFL team bus, team plane. You can't do it in anything affiliated NFL. But you can't do NFL period at all.
And apparently the gambling companies, the sports books, were able to basically track who it was.
Well, the NFL went to the gambling books directly. I didn't even know they could do that, to be honest.
So there's basically no way out of there.
No, so that's why the Lions were making moves, and I guess they made this trade. But who knows? I mean, the Lions are the Lions. I thought their picks were kind of weird also. But the Eagles have to go back to the Super Bowl again, just the way they are. If they don't, I think that's a bust.
Looking at some other draft picks, by the way, I mentioned Broderick Jones. Will McDonald was the guy, was the edge that the Jets took that Kyle ended up booing, which, again, it's like Rodgers again, where you think you would need to get him, maybe some line help to get him some protection, and you go defense. Good job.
Yeah, how are you not getting O-line? The Jets' O-line was a struggle last year. Both New York teams had struggles in O-lines.
And actually, the Packers, who now have Jordan Love, the Packers got Lucas Van Ness, which had a little bit of a mixed reaction. I think Lucas Van Ness is one of the best linebackers coming out of this draft class. But I think there was a little bit of a mixed reaction from Cheesehead Nation about drafting him. Then
The
20.
Okay.
Yeah. No, go.
I was just going to say the Packers fan base needs to relax. Now you can play that.
Oh, now I can play it? Okay.
R-E-L-A-X.
And the reason I say that is because you're going to be a 4 or 5 win team this coming season with Jordan Love.
Really? You don't believe in Jordan Love?
It's not that I don't believe in Jordan Love. Jordan Love needs some time to grow. So you're not going to win 10, 11 games that you won with Aaron Rodgers.
We actually saw history, by the way, Nick. Picks 20 to 23. First time in NFL draft history. We got 4 straight picks of wide receivers, I believe.
Yeah, that was kind of nuts, actually.
Seattle taking Jackson Smith. You had Los Angeles, the Chargers taking Quentin Johnston. You had Baltimore picking up Zay Flowers, which was actually a pretty good move because, Lamar, you need all the weapons that you can from him after you re-signed him. And then the Vikings picking up Jordan Addison, who I assume will now take over. It's him, and obviously they had KJ Osborne still, but I guess Addison will be the successor to Adam Thielen after Adam Thielen goes off to Carolina.
Which still shocker of the free agency, in my opinion.
And I think also the Vikings picking up Addison and the 4. I think that partially screwed up the Giants too, because
Right.
they probably would have gone for a receiver, but that's why they would go with Banks. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, goes over to Buffalo, which again I'm very curious about what they're gonna do with both him and Dawson Knox. If they're gonna have them both be tight ends, if one of them's gonna move over to go from tight end to a wide receiver and work in the slot.
I think he's going to get cut. That's what they've been rumoring already, that they think he's going to get cut. So I think Knox is going to be. He'll get a team though. He's a serviceable tight end.
I was going to say he has to get a team. The way he played last season for Buffalo, especially towards the end, he's got to find a team. Somebody.
I could see him staying in division. Actually,
are you saying that you could see the Jets picking him up?
It would be a nice little piece with Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
but you guys already have CJ Uzoma, who's also a decent tight end.
I'm saying as kind of like a secondary tight end, maybe.
As I mentioned, Mozzie Smith. I think I mentioned Mozzie Smith to the Cowboys. Yeah, Mozzie Smith gonna lead the Cowboys back to the Super Bowl with that defense. How about them Cowboys? Yeah. That was just to get a Jerry impression in there.
No, I know, but the Cowboys are the Cowboys. Like they're not going anywhere with Dak Prescott being the quarterback of the team. That's going to keep them down.
You got Will Levis, who was actually selected by the Titans. So now you got Levis, Tannehill, and Malik Willis all in the same quarterback room.
Yeah, that was stupid. I don't understand that. I know, like, for value's sake, taking Will Levis 33rd, that it was okay, but now you're stuck in a quarterback battle.
And Stetson Bennett, actually, I think got the Rams picked him up.
Why?
I guess he'll just be a backup to He'll just be a backup to what's his name over there? Not
What,
Staff.
Stafford?
Goff. Goff.
Oh, Goff. Yeah.
He'll
No,
just,
isn't it Stafford with the Rams?
oh, Stafford. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stafford.
Yeah, Goff's in Detroit.
Goff in Detroit. That's right.
But I didn't understand that.
Uh,
Since
oh,
yeah,
actually, I want to go back to the Eagles for a second. I forgot.
yeah.
We do need to talk about the Eagles actually picking Jalen Carter with the ninth pick. Jalen Carter, I mean, he is coming off of a very serious off the field issue. He is coming where basically somebody died. He is coming off of that news story where he refused to take anybody, take meetings with anybody outside of the top 10. That's probably going to be my biggest concern about the Eagles because I think Jalen Carter could head, like the way he is acting, he's either going to have to deliver or he's going to end up in bust territory.
You know what though? The third strike on him is his agent is Drew Rosenhaus.
Yes, of course.
Let's just say you saw me react when that pick came out. I couldn't believe someone was willing to waste a top 10 pick on this guy.
I mean, granted, he is, he delivers, and the Eagles are just loading up in their team to the point where, like you said, Nick, it would be probably a failure if they don't win the conference championship again. But I do have my reservations about Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 2 episodes, I think, on that story at least, where pretty serious crimes, didn't get charged with the death, then went off to the combine and was completely out of breath and out of shape. I thought that was going to knock him out of the top 10 for sure when he couldn't run the combine. Now, I understand people say the combine's not important. Well, for top 10 overall picks, the combine is kind of important. So, I don't know. I think he's going to be a bust just because of the way he's acting. But you never know. We've said this many times where bad people make it to the NFL and somehow they manage to have a career. Michael Vick.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, good first round. Actually, this was a pretty entertaining draft overall, and now it just makes me more excited, Nick, for next week when the schedule comes out, and for eventually September to come. I do not want it like Johnny Montalbano wanted to go very quickly. I would like to enjoy the summer months for what they are and the baseball season. Granted, the Yankees are currently dead last in the AL East, but I still want to enjoy baseball and the months of June, July, and August. Thank you very much.
Hello, teacher. Anyway, my point is, am I going to be really bored when I go to Toronto in like a week and a half? Am I going to want to watch the baseball?
Not that you'll be bored, Nick, but you might be doing a lot of this.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see the Yankees in Toronto against the Blue Jays for the first time out of New York. So I hope I enjoy it somewhat. I'm seeing 2 games. They better win at least one.
You would hope.
But all right, where are we going here?
I think it's playoffs time. Let's start with the NBA. So, Nick, we have history. For the first time ever in NBA history, the remaining 8 teams in the second round. One is a 1 seed, one is a 2 seed, one is a 3 seed, one is a 4 seed, one is a 5 seed, one is a 6 seed, one is a 7 seed, one is an 8 seed. It's kind of nuts. I see your eyes looking at your screen. That tells me something's going up.
It's not a news story. It's a score that I can't believe I see at the moment.
Okay, well, obviously, what is the score anyway?
Well, let's see. As of this recording, the Celtics Sixers are in game 2. Yeah. Well, it looks like it's probably gonna be tied 1-1. Let's just say the Celtics are up 27 points.
Oh dear. All right, so let's talk about the first round matchups that we had. That leads us into the second round. So, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the Bucks getting knocked out in the first round by the Miami Heat?
First time, I think, since it was Warriors Dallas, the 8 and the 1, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Giannis was hurt. He didn't play. I always forget who the other star they have is. He's always hurt. It's blanking me at the moment. But when Giannis was hurt, that pretty much ruined their chances. Even when he was playing, he just was not 100%. Miami just looked like they came ready to play.
Yeah. So, Nick, actually, it is the fifth time in NBA history where a number 8 seed has eliminated a number 1 seed. And actually, they're the first ever play-in tournament team to win a NBA playoff series. So, congrats to them. Uh, 4 number 1 seeds had advanced past number 1 seeds. Actually, the first, there's 2 that come to mind to me, Nick. Obviously, you're thinking of Dallas and the
Golden
Golden State
State.
one.
Yeah.
I there's also the one I think of in '94 when the Nuggets and Mutombo ended up knocking out the Supersonics as an 8 seed, beating a 1 seed. The Knicks as an 8 seed, beating the Heat as a 1 seed when they actually ended up going to the championship in 1999.
Holy cow! Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, the Warriors beating the Mavericks in the Warriors beating the Mavericks in '07, and the Grizzlies beating the Spurs in 2011.
That one I actually remember because that was a big upset way back
Yeah.
when.
That
Uh,
was major. So, yeah, I gotta say the Heat looked ready, and the Heat actually still look ready in their second round matchup as they're playing the New York Knicks, who managed to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games.
right. I mean,
As they say on the at that one video, "Hey Spidey, don't you wish you came to the Knicks?"
oh god, I saw that video a billion times on social media. And I don't know, but
Oh my god. I can't believe, Nick, that for the first time in a decade, the New York Knicks are back in the second round. And for the first time in God knows how long, they've actually won a game in the second round because their series, as of this recording with the Heat, is tied up at 1.
I mean, matchup of the '90s or rematch, I should say, of the '90s Knicks Heat. Um, Jalen Brunson is hurt on and off. Barrett was hurt a little bit on and off. Miami is
Yeah.
definitely a better team than they are. But
Although,
Jimmy Butler was out game 2,
mhm,
and it cost them because they just couldn't score.
yeah.
Um,
Although the Heat kept it close, which gets me a little nervous for the Knicks heading into the 2 games in Miami next.
well, yeah, because the Knicks are not exactly a good road team by any means. So it'll be interesting to see. Brunson's got to be healthy. That's the big
Mhm.
question mark because he got knocked down a few times. I thought they were going to carry him off the court at one point. But when I look at just looking back to some of the first round situations, Lakers Kings was an incredible series.
You mean Kings
It,
Warriors?
I
Kings
mean
Warriors.
Kings Warriors. Excuse me, Kings Warriors. I have Lakers on my mind with this
I
series.
know.
King.
Which, by the way, told you the Kings will be the Kings, and the now. I mean, granted, it's still the Warriors, it's still Steph and all of them, but you know, Kings have a history of just not delivering, and here you go, first round playoff elimination.
But you know what though? They gave a hard fought series to the Warriors
They
in,
did.
in
I
the
give
first
them
round.
credit,
And by the way, it took 50 points from Steph Curry to beat a team on the road. Okay.
and I thought we were going to get
Worst
Warriors.
road team. Worst road team in the NBA.
Well, I thought we were going to get Warriors versus Lakers with a conference final. Instead, we get into the second round with how the teams fell with the weird seeding. You know, like I said, that there's one of each seed left in the second round because the Lakers knock out the Grizzlies in the first round of the playoffs.
And you know what? The Grizzlies have a whole nother situation going on with John Morant. And now
Dylan Brooks.
yeah, that broke during game on today. Well, really yesterday, but today. That Dylan Brooks this was a great quote by Shams. The Memphis Grizzlies, under no circumstances, are bringing back Dylan Brooks. And I was like, okay, they really sent the failure. Yes, they really sent the message there with Dylan Brooks. By the way, Dylan Brooks is a coward. I'm sorry. He talked a big game, big mouth, and then refused to talk to the media after the final game of the series.
Yeah,
And he got fined.
I did say it seemed like the Grizzlies were on the path of absolute collapse, and well, congratulations, you are now the latest victim of big playoff LeBron. Even in 2023, LeBron can still carry a team to the next round of the playoffs.
By the way, Dylan Brooks is Lance Stevenson.
Oh,
If you remember back in the playoff run days when Lance Stevenson was a pest, always guarding LeBron on whatever team he was playing, And do you remember the whole incident where Stevenson blew in LeBron's ear during the playoffs?
Absolutely.
That's Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, who when he spoke to the media and was supposed to, he can't do anything unless he puts 40 up against me. I don't care.
So you know what? That brings up a question. So if the Grizzlies don't want him, then where is he going to play next? Oh, I know. Actually, you know who knows? Shaq knows.
Guangdong Tigers.
That doesn't surprise me. He might end up in China at this point. The way he's,
I need that as a sound effect next. The Guangdong Tigers.
Right.
He'll join Kyrie there because I don't know who's going to pick up Kyrie either.
I mean, I know one person who knows how what Dylan Brooks was like.
Who was on crack?
Yes. Thank you, Stephen A. He's on crack.
The Nets, I mean, are we shocked they got swept?
No, because their record was mostly based on Kyrie and Kevin Durant. But here's the thing. The Suns are not going to survive, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was going to say the Suns actually winning their first round matchup, but they get to draw the Nuggets.
By the way, Chris Paul's a dirty hack. I'm sorry. He did the foul and nonsense of Jamal Murray. And now he's hurt. He's supposedly going to miss games 3 and 4 now with a groin injury. So he's either hurt or he can't come through.
Wait, CP3?
Yeah.
The CP3 playoff curse continues.
I mean, we've basically beaten up Chris Paul.
Hold on, let me add to it. No, I need more.
That's really Chris Paul, though. I mean, the man can't stay healthy. He can't carry a team. I mean, it's KD and oh my god, why am I forgetting the star on the Suns? Oh my god,
Aiden.
No, the one who was dating the Kardashian. What the hell was his name? It'll come to me. Booker. Thank you, Devin Booker. I mean, you would think with those guys and with Chris Paul and all of them, they would actually be dominating. And Denver decided to figure out how to win games finally.
I mean, what do you think, Nick? Do you think Denver, the way they're playing, they can manage to hold off a Warriors or Lakers team, whoever comes out of that?
I mean, Denver, it's going to come down to inexperience as opposed to experience, not being in this position. I mean, they were a 1 seed, what was it, last year or the year before, and they got upset early on in the playoffs, and people were mad, and people don't give them any credit. They're a good team, but they got to win. Now, I don't see the Suns coming back. I think they're dysfunctional. I think Denver's going to make it through this series, and they'll come out on one side of the Western Conference Finals, but
okay, I'll agree. Denver, I'll go with Denver on that one. I know I picked the Suns, to make it back to the NBA Finals, but I'm a little concerned with how they've been playing, so I'm going to go with Denver. Who do you have coming out with Warriors versus Lakers?
I mean, I'm a little concerned that the Lakers won on the road in Golden State, game 1. I mean, they made a run. The game was close. And then a brick by Jordan Poole, which I don't understand why he's shooting a 43-foot three-point shot when Steph Curry was on the whole other side of the court. I mean, I'll give the Lakers defense credit down the stretch. They managed to keep the ball out of Steph Curry's hand. But the Warriors are the better team. Anyone who says the Warriors are not the better team, then they're not. They don't know NBA.
Yeah, I mean the shot with Jordan Poole, I think I can kind of compare it to I think it was Carlton who made that weird shot in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that was just completely wide.
Oh, you're talking about because they wanted to get the ball to Will, and he just knocked him over and just threw a one-handed shot, and it hit the scoreboard all the way to the left.
Yes.
Because he wanted to be the hero when obviously that was never going to happen. But you know what? LeBron played well. AD played well. First of all, AD's not going to last, so they better get what they get out of him. I think the Warriors will win this series. I still think they were playing good. The whole first half, they were outrunning the old retirement home Lakers, who are the oldest team in the NBA. They got to keep doing it, though. Run them. That's the only way you're going to beat them. You gave in to them in the end where you let LeBron play in the half-court set. That was your mistake for doing that. So then you lose the game at home. I mean, you still have to remember the Warriors had the worst road record in the NBA. So that's going to be in the back of their heads. The offense is not the same. Draymond Green is going to run his mouth. He got a technical the other night.
Yeah.
Not surprised. But the Warriors should win the series. But now I'm afraid because the Lakers took a game at home.
Know. I'm scared too. This one's going 7 games. The fact that the Warriors won in Golden State means this is going 7.
I mean, anything is possible in this series. If Golden State had won game 1, I would have looked at this series differently. But now you got to brace for a long series.
And on the Eastern Conference side of things, we have Boston because Boston managed to easily. I shouldn't say easily handle the Hawks because the Hawks managed to force it to game 7.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Boston in round 1. I don't like Joe Mazzulla, the head coach. He's made quite a few mistakes inexperience-wise. Now, obviously people are going to say, Ime Udoka. No, don't say that to me. Ime Udoka had to go. He did a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think he either got a job or he's already got his... What?
The Rockets.
Oh, the Rockets. Ugh. Well, that's all right. He's going to lose a lot of games anyway. But Atlanta made it closer than they should have. Trae Young, he needs to say goodbye to Atlanta, like in the worst way possible. He's not winning there.
Just like how his counterpart in Dallas, Luka needs to say goodbye to Dallas.
Yes, I mean, can you imagine if you put Trae Young, and you're gonna hate me when I say this, but put him in a Knicks uniform?
He is not gonna ever come to New York.
But just think about that for a second. Putting him with like a Jalen Brunson and a
Barrett. It would be phenomenal. But I don't know if he would survive New York.
Well, I mean, especially the spitting incident during what was that last year's playoffs, I think. But
do you know how bad the media will come down on him?
Yeah, but you can't blame the media for not wanting to come. Well, that's not true. Actually, you can. The Yankees.
Which, by the way, I have Yankee news for you once we get out of this segment.
Is it someone else injured? I mean,
let's say injured again.
Oh, that's great. But just to finish, so the Celtics should have won that easily. They pushed. Sometimes they just don't know how to finish a series. Then they move on to face the 76ers. And just there's not much to say about the Nets 76ers. They got swept. That's it. I mean, the only thing that was stupid was the play by Harden and Embiid kicking people.
Yeah, well, I think considering that Boston let up quite a few games that they shouldn't have to Atlanta, I think Philadelphia is going to have the way, especially because you can't have those inexperienced kind of mistakes with a guy who justifiably, and I'm sure you're very happy with this, was named the MVP over Jokic.
Oh, yeah, I told you that was going to happen. I mean, like, the guy played out of his mind. Well, yeah, I mean, now he's injured, so now the Sixers have a problem. But they won game 1 without Joel Embiid, which was incredible. James Harden decided to actually be big playoff James Harden. Yes, I'm stealing that from LeBron, who had 45 points, I think, in game 1. And completely, first of all, they were getting destroyed by Boston in game 1. Excuse me. And they just came back and totally won that in the fourth quarter. I mean, Boston should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the 76ers win. I mean, the offenses are pretty even keeled when I look at it.
You know, I think honestly that's another series that goes to 7 games. I think Boston's going to need 7 to knock out Philly.
Right. I mean, we'll see what happens. I like Doc Rivers in the reverse situation, being the former Celtics coach, now being a Sixers coach, and the inexperience. Like I said, Doc Rivers has been in this situation many times before.
And then there's Knicks versus Heat.
So game 1 was bad. And then in the second half,
the Knicks had the lead and then lost it.
Why are you chucking up threes in game 1 in the second half? That makes no sense.
Live by the 3, die by the 3, unfortunately.
Okay, the Knicks are not a 3-point shooting team.
I didn't say they were. It's just one of the basketball strategies.
And even though, like, Brunson is out on the court, he's not healthy. That's going to be a problem.
But now Butler never played game 2, so if Butler, I think it comes down to maybe Butler's injury.
Oh no, that's 100% what it is. If Butler plays, Miami's going to win. It's just a matter of how many games it's going to be. If he doesn't play, this will go back and forth, maybe 7 games. I mean, because the offenses are not great. Let's be honest here. Like, the Knicks don't have like a James Harden or a Joel Embiid or, I mean, I wouldn't consider Jalen Brunson top star echelon. I would say he's A minus, B plus guy that the Knicks overspent for. So
well, let me ask this question: with how the Knicks have been this season, and how, I mean, this is the second straight year in the playoffs. They're back in the second round. Have the potential. Let's face it, there is that potential there that they could somehow get back to the conference final for the first time since '99. Do you think? No. Here's my question. Listen. Do you think? Because we talk all this time, you say that they don't have a big star, and that we've talked all this time that the big stars kind of avoid New York because of its reputation and because of JD. Could a season like this kind of get out some of that bad reputation?
yes and no. Yes, because they're playing better with younger stars. Maybe that'll entice a free agent maybe to come over to the Knicks. By the way, Knicks fans should be happy that they made it to the second round of the NBA playoffs.
Absolutely, I am. I absolutely am.
Because to be fair, Cleveland should have, on paper, Cleveland should have won that series. And they choked it away with Donovan Mitchell and a bunch of other young stars, which ironically they got from the Nets. That was a disappointment. Cleveland should be ashamed that they lost in round 1. Not that the Knicks are a throwaway team anymore, but
but it's like you took away Donovan. You heard the Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks rumors all summer. Then you swipe in and get him for less, and the Knicks still managed to beat you in the playoffs.
Well, I think what helped that was momentum and wanting to prove a point that they didn't need Donovan Mitchell. So, and they did it.
But it is a statement. It is a statement now.
No doubt. That is definitely a statement. This will be a hard-fought series. Even if they win round 2, that should be what the height, the ceiling. And if they win, they should just say, okay, we won round 2, and anything else after that is bonus. But even now, I would say this is a good season. They got through round 1. They're in round 2. They're going to fight. If Jimmy Butler doesn't play, you have a chance to continue. And by the way, New York is going to go nuts if they somehow end up in the conference finals for the first time since the 90s. So,
yeah,
see what happens.
Well, I mean, that would be quite the boost to New York, considering that somehow the Knicks are now the actually best team in New York. Oh, by the way, before we get to the point I was going to make, so Nick, the Yankees managed to win the game. We're recording this on Wednesday night, so the Yankees managed to win. Harrison Bader has collided with IKF, and Bader needed help off the field.
He just got back, too.
Yeah, so apparently he needed to exit the game after colliding with IKF. So here we go again.
Oh, you can't win with this. Wait a minute.
I think Franchi Cordero needs a personal Uber driver just because of how often he's going to go up and down at this rate.
I mean, I can't knock him. The man's hit what, 4 or 5 home runs already? I mean, like,
yeah, but I mean, he fell apart after that first week in April.
That's true, but I don't know. No one cares about the Yankees right now, to be honest. The NBA and the NHL playoffs
my point was between that and the Rangers blowing it to the Devils. I think the Knicks, kind of are the life of New York at this point.
I mean, I was very surprised the way the Rangers Devils, by the way, third game 7 in the history between the Rangers and the Devils. They had no fight in game 7.
I will say, I'm probably not going to go as hard as Johnny and Hank, because you guys have heard enough with Johnny and Hank that you don't need a third voice going on. But that hashtag of no quit in New York?
Oh, there was quit.
There was quit. After the overtime loss in game 3, like once that final goal came in game 3 to make it a 2-1 series. And Schmidt had, that was Schmidt's first game as goalie. That was it. That they just completely gave up on themselves. They had no fight in game 4 and 5. And that's the sad part, because you look at games 1, 2, and 6, Nick, at the Garden. Games 1 and 2, and then
in Jersey.
Yeah, game 1 and 2 in Jersey, and game 6 at the Garden. 5-1, 5-1, 6-2. Like, they knew that they are the better team, and they just completely. I mean, now credit. I say they knew that they had the capability of the better team, because the Devils, as Hank kind of said in his blog, they wanted it more, and therefore that makes them the better team at this point. So,
by the way, also the transaction, the big one, Patrick Kane, no goals.
Oh, he has been. I think I will say right now, that trade will go down as one of the worst trades in New York Rangers history. He provided little to nothing during the rest of the season. He ruined the chemistry of this team. And I admit, I was very happy to have Kane here, and then just everything kind of, like this Ranger season is a failure. This Ranger season gets in. I don't care what Hank and Jen say. And Johnny say. This season gets an F from me. Fail. You should have been back in the second round, if not the conference final.
I mean, people were saying, and I've been following. I know I'm not the biggest NHL fan, but like the Rangers were making massive runs. Like people were saying, this is their time. Like they needed to make the run,
especially now. And we will get to the 2 number 1 seeds, the top 2 teams in this league, the Bruins and the Avalanche, losing in the first round. This should have been the year. This should have been the year to get everything. You gotta get all the crap out, and get back to the final for the first time since 14, and the first Stanley Cup since 94. This was their best chance. This was an incredible opportunity, and it is wasted. And now you've got all these reports about fights between management and players. You've got the fact that Lafreniere and Keandre Miller are restricted free agents, and you've got a couple of unrestricted free agents. If you're not going to give Tarasenko the money, there is no way in hell that you can bring Patrick Kane back. Hell, you should not bring Patrick Kane back, period. He is old. He is washed up. It is time for him to go. At this point, I would rather focus on keeping the young guys like Mott, which, by the way, whatever you think of Gerard Gallant, that the players quit on him or he didn't motivate his players enough. The fact that you took the kid line and you kind of messed with that when the kid line has been your key to success in this season. How? That is a botch, a hell of a botch of a coach.
By the way, with the whole Patrick Kane move, would you say that's James Dolan style, bringing in a washed-up veteran to New York? It kind of fits the mode.
But again, remember, James Dolan keeps his hands off of the Rangers. But it does bring up the question of, did we go for it too early? I remember they fired, I think it was John Davidson. They brought in Chris Jury, the former player, as the general manager. This is his second season. Last season, you had all those young guys, but then you saw, they made it to the conference final, but they shouldn't have made it to the conference final. It looked like they were going to lose to the Penguins in the first round last year, and they pulled off the run that they could. So it's not like they couldn't have done it again. But now seeing a series like this makes me question if they had gone for it too early. And again, when are they going to get another opportunity like this?
And I asked you another question about the Devils because they got destroyed by Carolina in game 1 of their series.
Oh, if I want Carolina to win or
yes,
get revenge or the Devils?
Would you justify it more if the Devils went on to beat Carolina as opposed to if they get beat?
Yes, because Carolina getting beat means that you probably could have gotten to that second round. Even if you had lost to Carolina, there was still more of a level of success that you could have had there. Because, again, you should have beaten the Devils. You honestly should have. And hats off to the Devils because they played their heart out. And I have said, Nick, on this show a couple weeks ago when Johnny was here with me, that if the Devils got past the Rangers, and considering the circumstances now that the top teams in this league are out, the Devils have a pretty good shot, I think, of going all the way.
We'll see what happens. I mean, and just looking around at some of the other stuff, because I was trying to pay attention to the NHL playoffs as much as possible. Bruins having the most points, or most wins, in the NHL, and then being outed by the Panthers.
by a Panthers team who barely made it into the postseason.
Now,
Are
if
you kidding me?
I remember correctly, I think there was a 35-point difference between the Bruins and the Panthers.
Something like that, yeah.
So that's a pretty significant. And people were complaining. Like I was listening to sports talk radio. NHL should have a bye system and first round. Stop.
They had a 3-1 series lead. You're telling me they couldn't have won one more game? You had 2 games in Boston and 1 in Florida. You're telling me you couldn't win one of those? That is collapse.
Wait a minute. That's historical 3-1. So they lost up 3-1. They lost 4 games in a row?
No, they lost 3 games in a row.
I mean, 3 games in a row?
Yeah, they lost 3 games in a row.
All right. They deserve to lose then.
It's pathetic. It's honest to God pathetic. Like,
and then,
Boston had the season of all seasons, and they just completely fell apart. So,
were they President's Trophy or no?
Yep, the President's Trophy curse strikes again. But I didn't think it was going to be in the first round to the Panthers.
Right. I mean, and I saw like Twitter, like Boston sports Twitter, was like having a frenzy when they lost on that overtime goal.
Oh, that might be the end of their. That might be the end of their window. I don't know what the hell you do at this point.
Right. And then obviously the Avalanche, the defending champions, out by the Kraken. I mean,
Seattle Kraken in their second season make the playoffs and knock out the defending champs in the first round. I love this expansion stuff.
Does this have Golden Knights vibes to it, technically?
Oh, yes. And Nick, I really want Avalanche versus. I really want Golden Knights versus Kraken in the Western Conference Final. That would be insanity.
I mean, that'd be a heck of a series. 2 of the last expansion teams going up against one another.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. The NHL playoff picture is interesting. I usually try to watch games from the second round on. At least I can pay attention to it. But kind of sucks not having a New York team there. The Islanders lost also. I mean,
yeah, get spanked by the Hurricanes.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah. So as far as the second round series go, I want to pick the Devils over the Hurricanes, and probably still do. But the kind of game that they had just now with Game 1, kind of hurts that.
Yeah, I mean, again, playoff hockey is actually fun. I will tune in more to playoff hockey than regular season hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, well, playoff hockey is completely great. The Toronto Maple Leafs finally getting their demons out and knocking out the Tampa Bay Lightning, by the way.
All the big teams getting knocked out. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, they get to see new teams finally.
Well, the fact that they're playing the Florida Panthers should be good for Toronto, but the Panthers are already up 1-0. I could very well see the Panthers making it into the conference final.
Oh my God.
Insane.
Underdog team to the championship?
That would give me 2012 Kings vibes. The 8th seed going all the way.
Hey, it's good. It's good for the sport. It gives them storylines at least.
Yeah. So that's on the east side. The west side, you got Dallas versus the Kraken, and the Kraken actually won in overtime in Game 1. So
a lot of overtime games so far in the NHL playoffs.
That's the competitive nature of the sport, and I mean that tells me the Kraken Golden Knights is still a possibility. Which Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers, who actually knocked out the LA Kings in a really fun first round matchup on the west side. Their Game 1 is actually in progress right now. I don't have a score on that. But yeah, I'm kind of rooting for Vegas versus, as much as I have picked Edmonton to make it to the conference final. And, Johnny and I said it at Edmonton Oilers team, with Connor McDavid in the Western Conference final will be absolutely fun. Part of me wants that Vegas Kraken in the worst way now.
I hope so. I think that would be entertaining playoff hockey.
All right, let's talk about that Florida-Toronto series, by the way, because there are a couple of hockey storylines that are worth noting because, from the sports news perspective, like we talk about the behind the scenes. So
this is the fun part.
Yeah, the Panthers have restricted ticket sales from Toronto Maple Leafs fans. So as far as I can tell, for a Toronto Maple Leafs fan to make a road trip to Florida to watch the team on the road, they would have to go to the secondary ticket market, like your StubHubs and such.
Yeah. So basically, they're shutting out Florida, everyone except for Florida citizens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come
Which
on.
it's not the first time we have seen that. We have seen that, I think, 2015 when the Tampa Bay Lightning were playing the Rangers in the conference final, and they restricted it to Floridians again, restricted it from Rangers fans. You know what, Nick? I'm not a fan of this, but I wonder if it's just my Americanism because this kind of reminds me, Nick. I don't know how much you know about. Obviously, I'm not a soccer person by any means, especially soccer outside of the United States. But you heard about how clubs will give out their tickets? Like
Yes.
to season ticket holders, like you have to be a member of a fan club. Let's say Everton FC or
Yes.
Man U. Like you have to be a part of their fan club, so that's already a purchase, and then you have to make more purchases on top of it to be, to get the tickets. But what that does is obviously restricts. It makes home games home games. It restricts visiting fans from coming in. But I say American because I think I'm not sure how to word it, but like you won't ever see that here in the United States, especially here where we are in New York, because sports at this point, is way more of a business. They are not going to turn away money, these arenas and these team owners. They're not going to turn away visiting team fans because all about the money.
I mean, this is nuts. And we've seen the NHL and teams do unconventional things before. Let the fans go to the games. It's playoff hockey. Can we just throw the freaking fandom to the side? Like, you're going to get mostly home fans when you play in your arena anyway. You're taking money out of your own pocket by not allowing these fans in. And by the way, Florida resident my ass. This is so stupid. What if you live in Florida and so what? You have to show your license and be like, I'm a Florida resident. I can buy a ticket. That's dumb. It's dumb. What are you trying to prove here?
I don't know, just that you want your home games to be home games, I guess.
Whatever.
I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a concern if you're trying to do that. Concern about, you think to teams where they could have a crowd, but a crowd is mostly of the other team's fans.
I mean, you could say that about bigger teams that travel well. The biggest one, if you remember, since we grew up Yankee fans, is going to Tampa Bay. Remember, like it used to be a Yankee crowd because the spring training complex is Tampa.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because the game that I went to with Yankees Giants back on April Fool's Day, I would say there was a good, 20% of the crowd that was actually Giants fans.
Yeah, Giants fans tend to travel well in baseball. I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, but I don't know. I'm not a fan. Playoff hockey, everything should go out the window. You want to go to a game, you go to a game. Shouldn't matter.
There's also a news story about a team that's not in the playoffs, the Ottawa Senators. And Nick, there's an entertaining offers, for a new owner, and you've got two groups who are key figures. And one group, Nick, contains Ryan Reynolds, the Canadian actor, and the other contains the Snoop Dogg.
I mean, this is great. I think this is actually good press for the NHL. The Snoop Dogg led group. I don't remember who the leader of the group, but it would be the first, I think, black owner in the NHL. I was reading
the Necco Sports Group.
Yeah, it's his group. He again, I think he would be the first black NHL owner in the history of the sport, which would be good for the sport because they need good press.
And then you've got the Remington Group, which is Ryan Reynolds is the biggest contributor for that.
Apparently, Ryan Reynolds is like a huge hockey fan. Like that would be great for the sport too. I mean, personally, I think
it's just funny that it's two celebrities, and they're competing to get this team.
Personally, I think the Snoop Dogg led group would be better for the NHL. I just think they can do more entertainment stuff, more outreach. Like Snoop Dogg was actually putting out posts on Instagram trying to get attention for him trying to own the team. I mean, I think the Snoop Dogg group would be better. That's just me.
Well, speaking, Nick, of selling a team, the Oakland A's, who are soon going to become the Las Vegas A's in a few years. So, Nick, I mean, you've got a record low crowd recently between the A's and Rays, which, by the way, you also had a record low crowd just a couple of weeks ago at the Cincinnati Reds game. So it's clearly that there's something going on in the water with certain baseball markets.
Oh God, don't say that. Don't say there's something going on in the water, please. For most people who don't understand it, yes, there's a sewage problem at O.co.
Well, there's a number of problems at O.co Coliseum. And the Oakland A's were playing a game at home, and certain fans, the remaining fans that, still want their team around, even if they have been alienated by this Oakland A's ownership, had a sign. So a home run was hit, and you could see in the background one of the crowd signs was "Sell the team." Well, if you were watching the MLB.TV feed, those signs have been censored and basically taken out of the picture.
Now, let's give the Athletics credit because they showed it on their TV feed. They did not cut it out. MLB.TV decided to be assholes and cut it out.
And I wonder what that means, Nick. I wonder what time it is. What time is it?
Good old Rob Manfred time?
Yep.
Rob, you're not going to win. And if he's going to say, MLB Network, and stop. You're going to tell me you didn't tell baseball, or you told the A's, you saw the signs, we got to block them out.
I mean, look, I get it. The A's want to move to Vegas. I get it. MLB wants them to get. I get it, Nick. We've talked about this on the show when, the Golden Knights were formed. That Vegas is becoming the next sports capital of the world, especially in a day and age where sports gambling is so out there and open and legal. That Vegas is going to be the next big market for sports. But at the same time, just the apology. Well, the apology that Rob...
That wasn't an apology. Cut out of here.
That was a sorry, not sorry.
No, that's... I don't know who said it, whether it was you or it was or even Johnny. It was an FU apology.
Yeah, it was Johnny. It was your Johnny or Hank said it.
Right. It wasn't FU apology. Oh, sorry to see Oakland go, but they're going to be great. Fuck you, Rob Manfred. I'm trying to be nice, but I can't be nice about a commissioner who's dumb as rocks. You censored a feed because their fans are not happy? Maybe, hey, Rob, maybe that's something you should pick up on, that the fans are not happy in Oakland.
Yeah, that fans aren't happy with baseball under Rob Manfred, Nick? No. Absolutely.
I mean, the people who think they're unhappy.
Stay off the weed.
Now you beat me to it.
But it's true. I think Rob is smoking a little something because he has no idea what's going on in Oakland.
Oh, no. Keep going, actually.
I was going to say he has an owner in Anaheim, or Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever. But who have that owner who doesn't care, who's going to lose his star because he doesn't want to pay him.
I won't get anything for him in return because he thinks, he's so, in his mind, we'll get him back.
Yeah. Okay. You have an owner in New York, which we'll get to. That's a whole nother story. Who wants to spend $800 million on something, but I digress. We'll get to that in a minute. This whole thing, and what's so ridiculous about this whole story, we didn't really get into the whole thing of it, but they tried, they say they tried to get a Oakland waterfront ballpark, I think in San Jose, and they couldn't make it happen because of politics. Dare I say politics? No, dummies. There's another rule that's involved in why they couldn't go to San Jose.
Because of San Francisco.
territorial rights.
Again,
San Jose is part of San Francisco.
But again, Nick, like you want to talk about no, this isn't actual politics. I mean, politicians obviously, that kind of politics sometimes play roles in this, but not in this case, Nick. I mean, look at the state of Odaco Coliseum. The possum is living in the visitors broadcasting booth. It's clear. I mean, you have, Nick, you also got the as you alluded to, the sewage problem.
That's not even an understatement either.
You hear that sound? That is the sound of the Oakland Athletics franchise, just complete. And look, you're putting a team out there that what's their record right now? 6-24 or something like that.
They basically have sunk the season already, and it's not even.
But that's the thing. They have on purposely sunk this franchise. I mean, Nick, this is Major League. This is that movie Major League. I want this team to suck so badly in Cleveland that I can move it to Miami. I want this team to suck so badly in Oakland I can move it to Vegas.
And let's take all the season ticket perks away. Let's raise the park pricing, the parking pricing. Let's make it horrible so it looks like a shithole.
So, Nick, no, Rob Manfred isn't on. Rob Manfred and Oakland A's ownership isn't on weed. You know what they're on?
Who was on crack?
Yep, that was the next legitimate step. Because if weed doesn't work, I guess crack is the next way to go. But no, I'm not saying to do that. By the way, that's on you if you make that mistake. Anyway, John Fisher, the owner of the A's. I think he's the second or third richest owner in baseball. $2.8 billion in net worth.
And what I think all that revenue, when the revenue has to be shared by all the teams, you know where that goes?
In his pocket, like every other owner. That's what most of the owners did during COVID. Rather than spending the money, they put it in their pocket. All right, I got more money in my pocket. I'll go spend it on my mansion rather than make my team better. But I don't know. It's just Fisher's a jerk. He never wanted this team to succeed. I mean, Moneyball caused a disaster throughout baseball, not just the A's.
But Nick, can he get on base?
Oh, God. I mean, I don't know. Are the A's going to be better in Vegas? Who the hell knows? Are they going to make more money in Vegas? Yeah, because they'll grab like 5 sports books and make them a sponsor. And I wouldn't be surprised, like, when they get to Vegas. By the way, they have to deal with this for a whole nother year, by the way, in Oakland. They're not going there until 2025. So it's going to be interesting to see if they get enough fans to sustain the expenses of the stadium. I mean, I don't know. Again, Fisher is the problem here. He never wanted to spend the money. He claims that they tried to get a waterfront stadium, but it never worked.
But don't say Rob Manfred didn't have a role in this.
Rob Manfred has a role in all of baseball. That's why we put him. Do you remember how long ago did we start the original iteration of the show? 5-6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember when we had MLB as like the top commissioner for a long time. And now, where's baseball? It's on the bottom. If you had
but Nick, that was because of the reputation of Roger Goodell at that point, because there was still some, that 2017 season was a little iffy, and Gary Bettman still had his reputation. It's scary that Gary Bettman might be the best commissioner of all the big 4 sports now.
I mean, I would probably say it's Roger Goodell, as scary as that is right now. Because he's actually kind of figured out the revenue structure, and NFL's making more money than it knows what to do with. But baseball's got a problem. And now they're talking about expansion into Salt Lake City. I mean, like, how about dealing with the A's, the Las Vegas A's, if that's what you want to call them at this point?
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be like DraftKings Stadium or something. I could just see it now.
All right, couple other stories to get to. Bryce Harper. This man went under Tommy John surgery. He went under the knife after the Phillies won the pennant and fell short to the Astros in the World Series. 5 months later, he's back. You're kidding me.
Oh my God!
How? That man is a robot. That man is a machine.
Yeah, he's Albert Pujols. Yes.
You've made that joke already, yes.
No, but I'm just saying, like, now it makes sense. Now, in case people were not watching an hour and 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But this man, Tommy John surgery has gotten better over the years. Like, they've found a way to improve it. Now they're saying, like, even before, like, you have a whole issue with your arm or your leg, just go get it. Just get the Tommy John surgery. You'll be, double as good after you get it. It's weird.
I mean, I mean, I mean, it's scary though that we've seen a number of pitchers. It just seems to increase over time. The amount of getting Tommy John surgery. Lou Trevino now going under the knife for Tommy John surgery. But with the Phillies, let me go. What's the Phillies' record right now? As of now, they're like 15-17. They're about 500.
They're
So
about 500, yeah.
getting Bryce Harper back, there's still a mix between them, the Mets, the Braves. Like that is going to be so beneficial for the Phillies.
So Phillies, as of this recording, is 15-17.
Right. And they've got the Mets above them, the Braves above them.
Well,
Wasn't
we all
Marlins-
know the Braves are going to run away with that division anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying the Phillies, you're getting Bryce Harper back this soon. I mean, obviously there's the risk that something could go wrong. You could lose him out for more time, but there's a chance that, him coming back this early, is better than, what they were expecting. So
The problem you run into is the Giancarlo Stanton clause, I like to call it, where all he does is DH, and now you have a spot that is completely taken over by someone who can't play the field.
nah, I mean, yeah, there's that possibility, but Bryce Harper doesn't have the reputation that Giancarlo Stanton has.
No, but they're basically saying he can't play the field, Harper, at all.
Okay. That is true. That is
So what happens? You're going to have to make a choice. Some days, do I want Harper or do I need that other guy? And then maybe I hold Harper to the end of the game when I need him. So we'll see.
Right. One last story here. Marly Rivera. So we talked about this during the draft show. I think this was the last story in the pre-show. Marly Rivera, of course, having the confrontation with another reporter from Tokyo over the potentially scheduled Aaron Judge interview. Marly Rivera called her a 4-letter word that begins with C and ends with T,
Yes.
and she was fired by ESPN. Apparently, there have been even more accusations against Marly Rivera even after her firing.
This was prior, apparently. Like, these came out, and there's not much we could. I mean, you could talk about this more from a journalism standpoint, but just from a standpoint of broadcast, and you and I have said this.
Assume a camera is on you.
Bingo. Yes. Especially in the business I work with in radio, everything is either recording or can be picked up. Even if you think a microphone is off, assume that it's on always.
Assume it's hot, right? Always assume a mic is hot.
Right. And the dumbest part of this is someone was literally videoing standing right there. They must have been taking a video feed of like the field.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like the reporter's name, who I can't remember, who covered freelance for Tokyo, wherever they were, said, did you get that on camera? Did you get that on video? And I'm like, I mean, what do you can't say much. She did it. It's on video. I mean,
Yvonne got.
Yes. So yes, that was her. She was in the right, by the way. I mean, like, you can't call someone. I mean,
especially when you're supposed to be in a professional setting, like as a reporter for a baseball game, and when there are over on the side in that video, Aaron Judge is autographing for kids.
Yeah, that was not good. Also, national reporter for ESPN. Not just some local person. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying you're a national reporter. You're covering for all of ESPN.
You have high standards.
Have high standards. Now, I think she's a national Yankee reporter, if I'm not mistaken, for ESPN.
Yeah.
So, and I always thought she was great, but now, like, I have a whole different tune after all this.
I mean, yeah, there was some questionable stuff. Like, there was that question she asked at the All-Star game as Aaron Judge's free agency was pending.
Yeah, I mean, that was bad. I don't know. The art of asking professional questions in the media has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
Because now we just want to see who can go viral.
Joe, just look at a UFC press conference, Nick.
Well, I think some of those are a circus on purpose. But She deserved it. She deserved to be fired. I mean, if she said those 2 words, then she's got to go. Now, she kind of did herself a double disservice because ESPN is already going through layoffs.
Yeah.
So if you're
going
going
to
to
easier decision.
if you're going to do something stupid, they're going to look at you right away and say, there's the door. Bye. See ya. Don't need you. I mean, I don't know. What's going on at ESPN is rough. I mean, they're laying off a bunch. They already laid off 100 behind the scenes people. They're talking about in the summer laying off people who make $500,000 in that range. Which, by the way, people don't realize that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Compared to us normal folk.
Yeah, really. But all the companies are going through it. All the media companies are going through it.
I mean, that's the unfortunate side of the media industry is that layoffs, they come and go, and they come and go pretty often.
Now, usually I try to find a way to defend somebody when they do something stupid because, again, we're kind of going away from the FCC model of things where you have a podcast like we do where there's no FCC regulations. But you kind of have to remember when you're on TV or when you're on, someone catches you with a camera. I mean, I can't defend her. I can't think of one way to defend her. Usually I can defend somebody in the media, and I don't know if she'll get hired again.
Somebody will. So
somebody. You know what? You know what? She'll end up at Outkick.
Maybe.
I mean, that's where what's her name went from.
Charlie Caruso, Charlie, whatever.
Yeah, Charlie Arnold, whatever she goes by.
Yeah.
So
all right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So as I said, we didn't stay here for 2 hours, but we got enough, quite the content out of that. That was fun. So That is going to do it for this week's edition of Empty the Bench. Good to be back on a normal episode. Again, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified of everything here at the Empty the Bench Network, whether it's us, MMA Outsiders, Game On, Fruity Cereal, all the her show, Sweet Treats and Eats, all that. Again, if you are watching us on the video feed, but you say, I want to take Empty the Bench Network on the road with me, and I don't want to see these 2 guys' ugly faces. Go to your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Acast, Google Play, all that. We're across all there. If you are listening on those audio only platforms, make sure to check out the YouTube feed as well. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Make sure to follow us across social media at ETB Sports, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and follow the network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ETB Network. You can find our own personal social medias on the video feed, scrolling across the bottom of the screen here on our little nameplates at Thomas J. Albano and Morgasen Radio. And don't forget to go to etbpodcast.com for more information about the network, plus blogs from all our hosts. Again, shout out Hank and Dichter, who has been killing it on the blog as of late.
Yeah, and also I think the next thing we're looking at is the schedule release. That's probably the next thing because we usually try to do a stream on that. We try. So we'll see what happens with that.
All right, but that's going to do it for us. So for Nick Morgasen, I am Tom Albano. We'll see you next week on Empty the Bench. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.